Good morning, children. How are you all? I hope you all are fit and fine. So, children, yesterday we have discussed about the bryophytes. Today's our topic is pteridophytes of chapter 3, Plant Kingdom. Children, the pteridophytes includes horsetail and the ferns. You can see these types of plants in this diagram. So they are found in cool, damp, shady places. Some flourish well in sandy soil condition. The evolutionary they were the first terrestrial plants to possess, and the vascular tissues like phloem and the xylem are present in these plants. So children, these are the first terrestrial plants. Children, the example of the pteridophytes like the Selaginella and the ferns you can see in this diagram. There are the leaves, stems and the roots are present. So we are called the true roots, true stem and true leaves. In bryophytes, the dominant phase is the gametophyte. But in the pteridophytes, the dominant phase means the main plant body is a sporophyte, and it is differentiated into true root, true stem and true leaves, so that these organs have the well differentiated vascular tissues for the conduction of food and the water. So the leaves in the pteridophyta are small, so that they are called the microphylls, as in the Selaginella, or sometime present the large leaves, it is called the macrophylls. For example, ferns. In the ferns, the macrophylls are present, and in Selaginella, the microphylls are present. So children, what are the economic importance of the pteridophytes? They are used for the medicinal purpose. They are used as soil binders and also grown as ornamental plants. So children, the reproduction of the pteridophytes is mainly the sporophytes bears the sporangia, that are the subtended by the leaf-like appendages which are called the sporophylls. You can see in this picture the sporangia and the sporophylls. In some cases, the sporophylls form this distinct compact structure called the strobili, or we can say the cones, as there are cones also present in the bryophytes. So the example of the cones or the strobili plant are the Selaginella and Equisetum, where the cones are present or strobilus is present. The sporangia produce the spores by the meiosis process. Meiosis is a type of cell division, which is the equational division in the spore mother cells, and the spores germinate to give inconspicuous, small, multicellular, free-living and mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophytes called the prothallus. The prothallus requires cool, damp, shady places to grow, and also it needs water for the fertilization process, so that the spread of the pteridophytes is limited and restricted to a narrow geographical regions. And the gametophytes means the prothallus bear male and female sex organs. They are called the antheridia, which is the male sex organ, and the archegonia is the female sex organs. So the water is needed for the transfer of anthrozoids. Anthrozoids are the male gametes to the mouth of the archegonium, and the anthrozoids fuses with the egg cell in the archegonium to form the zygote. So that we know the fusion of the male and the female gametes is called the zygote. It is called the fertilization, and after fertilization the zygote is formed, so that the zygote develops to a multicellular, well differentiated sporophyte. So the most of the pteridophytes produce the similar kind of spores, so that they are called the homospores. But the others produce the two kinds of spores. First is macrospores, or we can say the megaspores, and second type of the spores are called the microspores, so that they are heterosporous in nature. For example, Selaginella and Salvinia. So children, you can see the Lycopodium cone is the homosporous and the Selaginella cone is the heterosporous, means the different types of spores are present in the Selaginella. The megaspore and the microspores germinate and give rise to the female and male gametophytes respectively, and the female gametophytes are retained on the parent sporophytes for the variable periods. Within the female gametophytes, the zygotes develop into the young embryos. This event is a precursor to the seed habit, so that it considered as an important step in the evolution. So children, in this diagram you can easily see the picture of this plant pteridophytes. In the pteridophytes, the young leaves, there are rhizomes are present or roots are present. There are some strobila are present or capsules present. In the sori, there are sporangia which is immature. In the sporangia, the sporogenous tissues are present which are diploid in nature. Diploid means two in structure. After the cell division or the meiosis process, what happens? These spores are developed, which is haploid in nature. And the haploid nature, after germination, they produces the young gametophyte body. The gametophyte is the haploid in nature, so that through this gametophyte the mature gametophyte prothallus is developed, and after that there are egg cell and the male gametes and the female gametes develop. After the fertilization of the male and the female gamete, zygote is formed, and after zygote there is, you can see the young embryo which is differentiated into foot. There are first root develop, first leaf develop, and the shoot apex is also developed. After this, again the mature plant is developed, which is the sporophyte. So children, this is the life cycle of the pteridophytes. Children, the pteridophytes are mainly classified into the four classes. The first class is Psilopsida. The example of the Psilopsida is Psilotum. The second class is the Lycopodium, and the example of the Lycopodium is Selaginella and Lycopsida. The second class is Lycopsida and the example is Lycopodium and Selaginella. The third class is Sphenopsida, and the example of the Sphenopsida is Equisetum. And the fourth class is Pteropsida. The example of the Pteropsida is the Dryopteris, Pteris and the Adiantum. So hope children this topic is clear. Any query you can write in query box. Today you should write down the notes of the pteridophytes. Thank you children.